My non-Muslim family insists that Sharia is barbaric. How do I explain Sharia to them? And is it the law of God or is it a legal system established by man?
Sharia is an Arabic word for law or for the way of God. It is the law of God. Of course, the basic source is the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet. But the jurists, of course, elaborate on this, and they have their opinions on certain details. But as for describing, this is, of course, a long subject. What is Sharia and the role of jurists and the role of the Quran and the role of traditions. Just to give you an example for this claim of barbaric cutting the hand of the thief. First of all, we should know that the thief is not a thief according to Sharia, to the law of God, unless he has all needs of life sufficiently. He should have food, he should have clothes, he should have a house, accommodation. He should have all this before being responsible when he steals. If he hasn't any of this, then you cannot cut his hand, because there is a shubha, suspicion, a doubt. He doesn't find food, and he steals to eat. How can you cut the hand of someone like this? He hasn't any clothes, and he steals a dress. How can you cut the hand of a person like this? So every person, for the responsibility, there is something in the law called the criminal responsibility, that the person who is considered criminal and responsible for his crime, there are certain conditions for this criminal responsibility. One of the important things for this responsibility in Islam is to have the sufficient needs as a human being. Then when he steals, I am talking here about theft only. If we talk about adultery, that is, we shall see the needs also. A person should have sufficient sources to marry. But you cannot say, no, he doesn't marry and he commits adultery. What does he commit adultery? Because he cannot marry and he doesn't find money to pay for, then you cannot apply the punishment of adultery. You should find a way. You may punish him by another way, but not the same punishment. You may say, no, you should be imprisoned for a month, for example. Okay, a week, a month, but not the punishments which are indicated in the Quran or in the traditions of the Prophet. These have conditions, requirements, preconditions. If the conditions are not there, you cannot apply the punishment. So for the cutting the hand for a thief, the person should have all his needs. And then, in spite of this, he steals, or she steals. Then he doesn't need anything. He is not under the pressure of necessity. He does this, probably he has a sickness, psychological sickness, or whatever. Or he wants to agitate someone whom he hates, and he takes from what he has just for this thing. Anyhow, if the person, the person under investigation, or he who committed the crime, has not the sufficient needs of life, you cannot punish this person for theft. You do not cut the hand. You may punish by another punishment, but not cutting the hand. So the law of Islam had a lot of requirements, the punishments specifically. The civil law have common grounds with every civil law in the world. No problem. The problem is always in the criminal law or penal law, the penalties for theft and so on so. For adultery, the society is responsible to provide marriage for any person, man, male or female, in the age. He hasn't money or she hasn't money, the public treasury should support them to marry so that there is no place for adultery. So the situation is reversed. We have a society in which the main rights are not secure, and you want to apply the Sharia law. Sharia law is complete, should be applied completely. When I want to apply the punishments or the penal law or the criminal law, I should apply also social security, zakat, that every person should have his needs, should have accommodation, should have this and should have that. And then when he steals or she steals, I punish him. So Sharia should be considered completely and entirely as in its totality, in its entirety. So the people who says we want to apply Sharia and the Sharia means for them punishments only, this is wrong understanding of Sharia. Sharia means social security, means work for every person who can work, sufficient and just wages for the person who works, social security for the person who does not work. All this is Sharia. But Sharia is not to cut a bit of it and say, how can we cut the hand of a person? And how should he work afterwards? He should have all his needs. And then, why then he would steal? I don't know. He may be sick. He may want to just agitate some person, to provoke some person, steals from him to annoy him. We do not know. But that is the only way to apply the penalty in Sharia, is to have all the rights sufficiently for the person who is accused for any crime.